Welcome to Everything Explained. Today we're diving into psychoanalysis, a big idea about why we think, feel, and act the way we do, and a way people have tried to help themselves and others understand the hidden parts of the mind. Psychoanalysis is both a theory about what's going on inside us most of the time, and a method, a way of talking that aims to bring what's stuck in the shadows into the light. It began with a man named Sigmund Freud, but it has grown and changed as generations of therapists and researchers built on, challenged, and revised the ideas. Think of the mind as an iceberg. What we are aware of, the things we notice, the sounds around us, the things we can tell another person, is the tip. A much bigger part lives below the surface, the wishes, fears, memories, and conflicts we don't see, or don't want to face. Psychoanalysis is an attempt to map those hidden parts and to understand how they shape thoughts and actions, often without us realizing it. To understand the core of psychoanalysis, people often hear about three parts of the mind: the ID, the ego, and the superego. The ID is the bubbling, impulsive energy, the quick hunger, the need for pleasure, the basic wishes we might not fully control. The ego is the reasonable part, trying to make sense of the world and keep the ID's desires in check. The superego is the inner voice of rules, of parents and culture, telling us what we should or shouldn't do. Most of the time these parts argue inside us, and we learn to negotiate between impulse, reality, and moral judgment. When the inner tug-of-war gets loud, people can feel anxious, guilty, or stuck. Freud also proposed that much of what drives us is unconscious. We aren't always aware of why we want what we want or why we avoid what frightens us. Some of this, he said, comes from early childhood experiences. The famous idea is that much of adult behavior is influenced by wishes and memories we've pushed out of awareness, because they are painful or conflicting. The iceberg helps here. The small visible part is only a hint of what lies below. How do therapists access what is hidden? In classic psychoanalysis, there are several key tools. Free association means the patient says whatever comes to mind, without censoring. The therapist listens for patterns, links, or recurring themes that hint at deeper concerns. Dream interpretation is another famous method. Freud called dreams the royal road to the unconscious. The idea is that dreams dress hidden wishes in strange clothing, and careful interpretation can reveal what those wishes are trying to tell us. Another central idea is defense mechanisms. These are mental tricks we use to keep anxiety at bay. Denial means refusing to accept something upsetting. Repression pushes painful memories out of conscious awareness. Projection puts our own undesirable feelings onto someone else. Rationalization tries to explain away impulses with plausible excuses. Imagine you feel jealousy toward a coworker but tell yourself you're just being practical. That's rationalization. Defense mechanisms are not all bad, but they can keep us from dealing with what matters. Freud also drew up theories about how people grow and develop. In his view, early childhood stages, oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital, shape big parts of personality. The idea is that conflicts at each stage, if unresolved, leave a mark on the adult. Modern psychoanalysis is less about ticking off stages, and more about how early relationships and internalized images of other people shape how we relate to others and ourselves today. An important part of the therapy itself is what we call transference. Patients might begin to treat the therapist as someone from their past, say a parent or a lover, so the therapist seems to become a mirror for old feelings. The therapist, in turn, notices their own reactions, called countertransference, and uses those feelings to understand what the patient is really dealing with. The aim is not just talk for talk's sake. It's to help people see patterns that keep looping in their lives and to find new ways to break those loops. Dreams, slips of the tongue, and even the stories we tell about ourselves are all pieces of the puzzle. The dream content has a surface meaning, that's the manifest content. But underneath, there might be wishes or fears, the latent content, that the dream is trying to hide. Reading these symbols is not about finding a single right answer. It's about opening a dialogue with yourself and with your past. Critics rightly ask how much of psychoanalysis can be proven. It relies a lot on case histories and subjective interpretation, which makes it hard to test with standard experiments. Many psychologists push for more empirical methods. Yet, many modern psychodynamic approaches borrow the same core idea, that early life, unconscious wishes, and the patterns we repeat matter a lot. and that talking through our inner life can change how we feel and act. Some therapists blend these ideas with current research from cognitive behavioral therapy, neuroscience, and attachment theory to create flexible, patient-centered care. So, what is psychoanalysis? It's a big map of the mind that tries to explain why we feel pulled towards certain people, repeat certain mistakes, or drift into self-doubt. It teaches that much of what guides us lives beneath the surface, and it offers practical tools, talk, reflection, and attention to dreams and slips, to bring that hidden material into the light. It also invites us to look at early experiences and the relationships we form, not to blame the past, but to understand how it continues to shape the present. It's not the only path to mental well-being, but it has left a lasting mark on how we think about ourselves, our stories, and our capacity to change. If you want to hear the quiet voices inside your own life and understand why they're there, psychoanalysis invites you to listen to the hidden parts of your mind, because that listening is where the real growth begins.